three reasons why opposition wins this debate. The first is on the case line, the second is on burden fulfillment, the third is on debating. Number one, on the case line. Government says that the government has every right to pursue this problem because it's the duty of the state. But look at the policy that they themselves want to support, right? Because it's not talking about, taxing companies that exceed certain carbon emissions, right? Nor is it depowering all of these companies through some other policy that enables them to, not harm the environment anymore. It's literally just them limiting their powers because these companies are supporters and investors of green tech. What we say on opposition is that it's probably going to be bad for all three scenarios. The first is, if the company is good and benevolent and genuine in their attempt at supporting these green technologies, it's probably just worse given that if you monopolize where funding comes from. Joseph explicitly says that this is probably going to be a bad thing because now funding is contingent on these major corporations to back you up, and they have every incentive to not want to do it in the best possible way. But two, if the company is malevolent, then this is where all of the harms of me and Joseph come in. Greenwashing, gaslighting, hugas kamay, all that shit happens, and this isn't something to scoff at, right? Anytime this happens, environmental progress gets stunlocked at the point in which this particular policy literally harms all of the environment, which PM himself concedes is the most prevalent and important thing this round. Three, if it's also the case that the company is indifferent, right? They don't really care much because it's not something that they themselves have any interest in, then they're not likely to be able to fund these green tech companies and to be able to support them in the way that it needs to be supported. So at this particular point, I hope it's clear to say that it's not enough to have the carrot because companies feed off of the carrot already. The stick needs to be reinforced to keep all of these companies in check. E.g., the reason why we win on this first component is on the ability of our counter policy. We have fiat to propose to reach the same level of effectivity of the intended outcome that PM himself wants in his speech. I don't really hear Whip try to rebut that idea. Two, on burden fulfillment. Government is not fully able to characterize where this debate actually happens. I said in my speech that the only people that can do these mergers are those big enough to actually have the capacity and incentive to be a threat of an antitrust lawsuit to be held against them, right? So I hope GovReply doesn't misrep us and say, opposition's main flaw is that they think all companies are evil and profit-driven. Probably not, right? Not all companies are evil, but those capable of monopolizing and are in threat of an antitrust lawsuit probably are. Government hasn't done enough to be able to take out that particular frame, or at the very least integrate that particular frame, which we said, to their particular case. Thirdly, on debating. A lot of the major claims that were said by side government have all been dealt with sufficiently. The specific motion of this case is in the effectivity of which policy is going to be the best for ensuring that all of these companies at the very least don't harm the environment in as much as they already do. On our side of the house, it's very clear that we want a lot more antitrust to be a lot more proliferated, to be a lot more spread, as a consequence of it being a lot more effective in ensuring bad stuff doesn't happen. On their side of the house, they have to contend with the fact that if they want these particular mergers to happen, it has the possibility of monopolizing industries, it has the possibility of greenwashing, it has all of the negative possibilities that can happen as a consequence of merging. We say it's just less risky to vote for our side. All of those reasons, proud to oppose.